to put it back in the selection? Or what is there? Oh, yeah, register. R, L, R? No, too slow.
I'll do.
One second. R, L, R. No.
Speed keys.
Alright, destination register. Let's put it in A. And now if I go to reg, it is in A.
Yeah.
So ideally it should use any motion, but this is version 1.0, so we only have lines, buffers, and selections. Anyway, so what do you use this for? I find that you use it for many use cases where you would usually use a REPL, and it's just faster because you don't have to go to a REPL. So you can explore. You can say this is JavaScript, and well, what's 5.1? Well, it's 51. It's 1.5. It's 15. Is 1 less than undefined? No. Would that more? Also no. Is it equal? No. It's just no relation to undefined. And then you can do a fast test. So you have a function that's defined somewhere and you just want to quickly test it. Let's switch it to Python. Or you just write a function with an argument and say, what does it give you? Oh, 0. What happens if you give it 5?
GB.
35. Okay. What about negative 5? Negative 5? Okay. So then you might have like some stupidly long thing that, okay, what the hell does that do? Well, you just select it, and execute it and say, oh, okay, well, this is what it gives you. And then you could also do the whole function. Oh well. So you can easily, like, if you have a function somewhere, you just throw in an argument. You don't have to like go to your test file or run the whole program or whatever.
You're missing a colon.
Yeah. 9.
Yes. Yeah. So that's useful. Then maybe you want to go to the next page and it doesn't work. Documentation. So actually, for example, some languages have documentation built into their language, so you can access it programmatically. So Python, for example, does. If you get to the doc, you can, like, what does reduce do? What arguments does it take? Well, it takes these arguments. There's this module here. Well, here gives you a list of all the attributes it has. Those are the attributes. You can also see them in the doc. Ooh, a little bit big. Could use some syntax highlighting, but. Or what does the product function do? Product. Interesting. Okay, so quickly seeing the documentation if it's available in your language is nice, I guess. And then you can generate some text with it. Python. So using the selection to selection, you can, for example, have this and say, well, I want to give it. And you can say, well, I can write it then too, but if you're programming in some language, then maybe it's easier to write it out in your language. Maybe something more interesting. Or like you want to generate some test data. Well, that's like this will do like a number, like a list of numbers, 50 numbers between randomly chosen from the list 1 to 100. I should select that one. Execute. So now I have a random list of numbers. And that's the use cases I could think of so far. I think that it looks like, no, there's the next slide. Yep, so those are the use cases I came up with.
Got another one. How about README generation? So if you're just writing the README for your project and you know what you want to show, and so you can just now run it inside the README.
I have written a gem for that, and it's called Live, and it does the README in real time in your browser while you are editing with Vim or any other editors.
I think
I can talk about
It's
that.
very, because there, like with this, I guess you would need more context. I don't know, like, if I get what you say is, like, I don't know, I have a project, I have the README and I have a little example there, but of course, sometimes, in order to run that example, I would need like, to import stuff.
An interesting point. It would force me to have a complete example.
That's true. But sometimes it's like, if it's, I don't know, a race gen, you don't put like, the whole race environment there. But yeah, okay.
Okay.
For in some situation, yes, yes.
For small ones, I think.
Yeah.
An interesting point is I just thought of recently, do you remember I have this README and I want to include a bunch of rake tasks. And I don't want all the rake tasks, I just want a bunch of rake tasks because they're very important to the project. And what you could do is just put a rake T in there and just execute it in Vim and dump the contents of the, you know, of the actual rake output and then delete whatever you don't need. It will be similar to just executing the command line, but I guess more involved in copy pasting.
I mean, this is basically it saves you a trip. It saves you a trip to if you want to look up the documentation. You don't have to start your browser. You can just write something out and execute it and find what the documentation is. And you don't have to go to the REPL. You don't have to have one plugin that does the REPL for each language that you use. You just you just like open a file and you execute it. Anything. It's always the same.
So what do you need? And this is maybe for Ruby and Python. It's easy. You need Ruby or Python.
For JavaScript, you need Node. So it's also pretty easy. You just like if you're on Ubuntu, you just
I just refuse to install Node.
get the Node package and you're done.
I just refuse to install Node. That's all.
I mean, maybe there's an alternative. I guess there's also some Mozilla thing that allows Rhino or something that allows you to run from the
And you
client.
can just
Some Ruby, some JavaScript VM would suffice.
I mean, if you have an idea, I don't know that much about JavaScript, so I mean, there's like a bunch of. Let me go to the browser. So my to-do list is also here, which looks like this. Future. So I would have some options where you can like set up which command line you run, which options. Currently it's just hard-coded to Node-E or whatever for Node or Ruby.e. So if you have an idea and you just add it here.
Let me guess, Patches welcome. Let me guess, Patches welcome.
Sure, anything. I mean, what I actually have another plugin that will allow you that I'm using for this that will allow you to write your plugin in Python, which is also very much in development. But for example, if you look at this plugin, it's like there's lots of Python files and no Vim.
So you expose the interface of the object in Python in Vim.
I mean, Vim has a Python interface. Like I don't know, it's like Python.
I have that.
But it's kind of incomplete. So there's a lot of things you cannot do. So I just wrote another plugin that will make it a little bit nicer.
Interesting fact, by the way, is that recently they've actually started putting more Python integration, like a bit more anyway, like from what I've read in the mailing list. I think, I'm not sure how much of it is in, and it's just recent patches anyway, so it's not going to be distributed soon with, with Debian and whatever.
I mean, this is the whole Vim script that I use for this plugin.
Yeah. but yeah, it might be interesting for you to, I don't know, go through the mailing list and just see what kind of future APIs to expect that might be interesting for you to work with this.
I mean, the nice thing about, for example, using Python is that you can actually use functions as objects, which Vim script doesn't have. So for here, I'm actually building functions. So I build an execute function that takes the source of the line and destination of the message, these are also functions here. And it will build a new function out of it and assign it to this Vim script function. So in Vim script, you would probably have to write a lot of this function takes this, calls this function, and then calls this function. And
I
it's just
think now you can do this because they have added the prototype inheritance also in Vim script.
Yeah, technically you could, it's a bit clunky.
You have the dictionary, so you can.
I mean,
the function is word.word, and you can do I think this pattern also.
Well, I still wouldn't go that far.
No, I mean Python is more user friendly for sure.
Yeah, and then yeah, you can use the Python unit test for this. So if I
Of
go,
course, you have a lot of libraries to make your code more robust for sure. Yeah, but I mean the prototype you have also not only in JavaScript, now also in vimscript. Yeah.
yeah. So for example, to run this is the unit testing. I haven't done end-to-end testing yet, but at least that's something. But yeah, anyone have any ideas about what to do with it? Feel free to.
Maybe start the project. Wait.